6. Taoist secrets to let life flow. Naturally. Stop forcing. Start flowing. There comes a point in life when effort stops producing peace. You work harder, plan more carefully, analyze every possibility, and still something feels out of place. The more tightly you grip your future, the more anxious the present becomes. You wake up thinking about everything that needs to be fixed. You go to sleep, replaying conversations, imagining better outcomes, wondering if you missed an opportunity or made the wrong decision. Modern culture celebrates constant striving. We are taught that success belongs to those who push the hardest, compete the fiercest, and never stop chasing. Yet beneath all the noise, there is a quiet wisdom that has survived for thousands of years, one that suggests a completely different path. Taoism does not ask us to become passive or indifferent. It does not tell us to abandon responsibility or ignore our dreams. Instead, it teaches that much of human suffering comes from struggling against the natural rhythm of existence. Rivers do not force themselves downhill. Trees do not rush to grow. The seasons never argue about whose turn it is. Everything in nature unfolds according to its own timing, guided by an invisible harmony that requires no effort to maintain. The ancient Taoist sages observed this harmony with extraordinary attention. They noticed that whenever human beings attempted to dominate life instead of cooperating with it, they created unnecessary conflict. They fought reality instead of understanding it. They exhausted themselves resisting change instead of flowing with it. In doing so, they lost the very peace they were trying so desperately to find. Perhaps you have experienced moments when everything seemed effortless. A conversation unfolded naturally, without planning every word. A decision became obvious after days of confusion. An opportunity appeared precisely when you stopped chasing it. These moments often feel mysterious, yet Taoism suggests they are not accidents. They are glimpses of what life looks like when we stop interfering with its natural movement. Lao Tzu described this principle through the concept of Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or action without forcing. It does not mean doing nothing. It means acting in perfect harmony with reality instead of constantly pushing against it. Imagine sailing. The skilled sailor does not command the wind. He studies it, understands it, adjusts the sails, and allows its power to carry the boat. Fighting the wind only creates frustration. Working with it creates progress. Many of our daily struggles arise because we mistake control for security. We believe that if we think enough, plan enough, worry enough, and prepare for every possibility, life will finally become predictable. Yet reality continues to surprise us. Relationships change, careers evolve, health fluctuates, unexpected opportunities emerge, unexpected losses appear. No amount of control can eliminate uncertainty, because uncertainty is woven into existence itself. The Tao teaches that peace is not found by eliminating uncertainty, but by becoming comfortable within it. The flexible bamboo survives storms that uproot mighty oaks. Water flows around obstacles instead of trying to destroy them. Clouds never cling to the sky. They appear, transform, and disappear without resistance. This ancient wisdom feels especially relevant today. Our minds are overloaded with constant information, endless comparison, social expectations, and pressure to optimize every aspect of life. We measure productivity by how busy we are, often forgetting to ask whether our busyness is actually meaningful. We become experts at managing schedules while neglecting our inner world. Taoism gently invites us back to simplicity, not by rejecting civilization, but by rediscovering the intelligence already present within nature and within ourselves. It reminds us that beneath our endless thoughts exists a deeper awareness that knows when to move and when to remain still. This awareness cannot be forced into existence. It emerges only when the noise begins to settle. The 6 Taoist secrets we will explore are not techniques designed to manipulate reality. They are ways of seeing. They shift our relationship with effort, ambition, patience, relationships, uncertainty, and ourselves. Each principle reveals that many of the burdens we carry are not imposed by life itself, but by our resistance to life's natural flow. As you continue listening, you may discover that the answers you have been searching for are not hidden somewhere far away. They may already exist beneath layers of unnecessary struggle. Sometimes the greatest transformation begins not by adding something new, but by letting go of what was never needed in the first place. Today, let us begin with the first secret, a lesson that lies at the heart of every Taoist teaching, and perhaps the most misunderstood principle of all. Stop fighting the river. The wisdom of Wu Wei, the first secret of Taoism, is both profoundly simple and incredibly difficult for the modern mind to accept. Stop forcing life. This does not mean abandoning your goals. It does not mean becoming lazy or careless. It means recognizing the enormous difference between intentional action and compulsive struggle. Most people spend their lives confusing the two. Imagine standing in the middle of a river, desperately trying to push the current backward with your hands. No matter how strong you are, the river continues flowing toward the sea. The harder you resist, the more exhausted you become. Eventually, your strength fades, not because the river became stronger, but because it was never your enemy in the first place. Life often works exactly like this. We resist aging even though every living creature ages. We resist endings, although every beginning eventually transforms. We resist uncertainty, despite knowing that certainty has never truly existed. We resist difficult emotions instead of allowing them to pass naturally like changing weather. Resistance consumes extraordinary amounts of energy. Lao Tzu observed that the greatest masters accomplish remarkable things precisely because they stop wasting energy fighting reality. They direct their effort toward responding wisely instead of demanding that reality become different. Consider how water behaves. Water never argues with a mountain. It does not complain when it encounters stone. It simply adapts. Sometimes it flows around the obstacle. Sometimes it patiently wears it away over centuries. Sometimes it becomes mist and passes over it entirely. Water possesses immense power because it refuses unnecessary conflict. Human beings often do the opposite. We insist that people behave according to our expectations. We insist that our careers unfold according to our schedules. We insist that life reward us exactly when we believe we deserve it. Every unmet expectation creates friction. Every attempt to control what cannot be controlled produces anxiety. Wu Wei invites a radical shift. Instead of asking, "How can I make life obey me?" we begin asking, "What is life inviting me to do right now?" This question changes everything. It transforms effort from force into cooperation. It replaces tension with awareness. It turns every obstacle into information rather than opposition. A musician understands Wu Wei intuitively. When learning an instrument, beginners often grip too tightly. Their shoulders tense. Their fingers become rigid. Ironically, the harder they try, the worse they perform. Experienced musicians appear relaxed. Their movements seem almost effortless. Years of practice have taught them something profound. Excellence emerges through relaxed precision, not strained intensity. Athletes call this being in the zone. Artists call it inspiration. Psychologists call it flow. Taoists simply smile, recognizing an ancient truth that existed long before modern science gave it a name. Flow appears when unnecessary resistance disappears. Notice children playing. They become completely absorbed in the present moment. Hours pass unnoticed. They are not calculating outcomes. They are participating fully in experience. As adults, we slowly replace this natural state with constant mental interference. Instead of experiencing life directly, we begin managing it through endless internal commentary. What if this fails? What should happen next? What do people think? Am I doing enough? These thoughts create invisible barriers between ourselves and reality. Wu Wei gently dissolves those barriers. It teaches us to trust direct experience more than compulsive analysis. This does not eliminate planning. It simply prevents planning from becoming obsession. There is another misconception worth addressing. Many people believe surrender means weakness. The Tao says otherwise. Real surrender requires enormous courage because it asks us to release the illusion of absolute control. The ego loves certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants predictable outcomes. It wants complete authority over circumstances. Life offers none of these. The sooner we accept this, the lighter existence becomes. Imagine holding sand tightly in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the more grains escape through your fingers. Now imagine holding your hand gently open. The sand remains. Many relationships suffer because we squeeze too tightly. We try to manage people's feelings. We attempt to control their choices. We fear losing them so intensely that we create the very distance we hope to avoid. Love flows more naturally when freedom replaces possession. Success follows a similar pattern. Some opportunities appear only after relentless effort. Others emerge precisely when we stop chasing them. Have you ever struggled to remember someone's name only to recall it effortlessly hours later? The harder you forced your memory, the less accessible it became. Once the pressure disappeared, the answer surfaced naturally. The human mind frequently functions this way. Insight cannot always be commanded. Creativity cannot always be scheduled. Wisdom often arrives during walks, showers, quiet evenings, or moments when striving temporarily ends. This is not coincidence. It is the mind returning to its natural state. The Tao teaches that clarity resembles a muddy pond. If you continuously stir the water, it remains cloudy. If you allow it to rest, the mud settles by itself. Nothing had to be added, nothing had to be fixed, only stillness was required. Modern society constantly stirs the pond. Notifications, deadlines, comparison, noise, entertainment, opinion, information. Very few people experience genuine mental silence anymore. Without silence, intuition becomes almost impossible to hear. Wu Wei encourages creating spaces where life can reveal itself naturally. Sometimes the wisest action is immediate movement. Sometimes it is patient waiting. The difference lies not in external appearance, but in internal alignment. Two people may perform the exact same task. One feels drained afterward, the other feels energized. Why? Because one acted from tension, the other acted from harmony. Energy follows alignment. Exhaustion often follows resistance. As you continue through these Taoist secrets, remember this first lesson. You do not have to conquer the river. You only need to learn how to move with its current. The river has been flowing long before you arrived, and if you stop fighting it, you may discover that it has been carrying you all along. Let go of control. Trust the timing of life. One of the deepest fears hidden within the human heart is the fear of not knowing what comes next. We crave certainty because we believe certainty will protect us from disappointment, failure, pain, and loss. From an early age, we are encouraged to create plans, define goals, calculate risks, and prepare for every possible outcome. There is wisdom in preparation, but there is also a danger when preparation quietly transforms into obsession. At that point, we are no longer living our lives. We are attempting to manage every detail of a future that does not yet exist. Taoism offers a remarkably liberating perspective. It teaches that control is largely an illusion. This does not mean our choices are meaningless. It means our influence is always partial, never absolute. We can choose our actions, but we cannot command the results. We can plant seeds, water them faithfully, and care for the soil, but we cannot force the flower to bloom before its season arrives. Lao Tzu understood something that modern society often forgets. Nature never hurries, and yet everything is accomplished. Look outside at the changing seasons. Spring never competes with winter. Summer never rushes autumn. Each season arrives precisely when conditions are ready. If winter refused to leave because it feared change, life would stagnate. If spring arrived too early, fragile blossoms would be destroyed by frost. Every transformation depends upon timing. Human beings often ignore this wisdom. We compare our progress with others. We believe we are behind. We panic because someone else found success at 30 while we are still searching at 40. We assume we have failed because our journey does not resemble someone else's. Comparison creates artificial urgency. Urgency creates unnecessary pressure. Pressure clouds judgment. Clouded judgment leads to decisions rooted in fear instead of wisdom. The Tao invites us to step out of this endless race. Imagine watching a bamboo forest after planting new shoots. During the first year, almost nothing appears above the ground. The second year also seems disappointingly quiet. Even the third year may show very little visible growth. An impatient observer could easily conclude that nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, an extraordinary process is unfolding. The roots are expanding, they are spreading wide, they are strengthening themselves. Only after this invisible foundation has been established does the bamboo suddenly shoot upward with astonishing speed. Life often follows the same pattern. Many people become discouraged because they judge progress only by visible results. They forget that invisible preparation often occupies the greatest portion of transformation. You may feel that nothing is changing, yet your patience is growing, your perspective is maturing, your character is deepening, your resilience is strengthening. These developments cannot always be measured immediately, but they become the foundation for everything that follows. One of the greatest sources of suffering is believing that life owes us immediate rewards. We work hard for a few months and expect permanent success. We meditate for a week and expect complete inner peace. We begin exercising and become frustrated because our bodies have not transformed overnight. The Tao reminds us that every meaningful process unfolds gradually. Water shapes mountains not through violence, but through persistence. A single drop seems insignificant. Millions of drops reshape the landscape. The modern mind loves dramatic breakthroughs. Nature prefers quiet consistency. There is another reason why control becomes so exhausting. It convinces us that every unexpected event is a threat. When plans change, we assume something has gone wrong. When doors close, we believe opportunities have disappeared forever. When relationships end, we imagine happiness ended with them. Yet many of the greatest blessings in human life arrive disguised as interruptions. Think back over your own experiences. Perhaps a job rejection eventually led you toward a better career. Perhaps a failed relationship prepared you for a healthier one. Perhaps moving to an unfamiliar place introduced people who completely changed your life. At the time, those experiences felt painful. Only later did their hidden purpose become visible. This is one of Taoism's most beautiful insights. The entire picture can never be seen while standing inside a single moment. We demand explanations too early. We ask questions life has not finished answering. The Tao teaches us to allow the story to continue unfolding before deciding what any chapter truly means. Imagine reading only one page from a novel and insisting you already know the ending. That is how we often judge our lives. A difficult month becomes, my life is falling apart. A setback becomes, everything is ruined. A delay becomes, I'll never succeed. The mind rushes toward permanent conclusions based upon temporary circumstances. Wisdom slows this process. Patience creates space. Within that space, new possibilities emerge. Control also affects our relationships. Many people unconsciously attempt to manage the emotions of others. They seek constant reassurance. They worry about every text message. They analyze every facial expression. They interpret silence as rejection. They become trapped inside stories their minds invent. The more they attempt to secure love through control, the less natural the relationship becomes. True connection grows where freedom exists. Just as flowers cannot be pulled open by hand, trust cannot be forced into existence. It develops gradually. It deepens naturally. It strengthens through shared experience rather than constant management. Parents experience this lesson as well. Every loving parent wants to protect their children from suffering, yet attempting to eliminate every challenge often prevents growth. A seed protected forever inside its shell never becomes a tree. Growth requires exposure. Wisdom requires mistakes. Strength develops through resistance. The Tao encourages guidance without domination, support without possession, presence without control. This principle applies equally to our inner world. Many people fight their emotions. They attempt to suppress sadness. They fear anxiety. They become angry at themselves for feeling angry. Ironically, resisting emotions often makes them stronger. Think of trying to hold a beach ball underwater. For a while you can force it beneath the surface, but the pressure builds. Eventually it bursts upward with even greater force. Emotions behave similarly. Acknowledging them allows movement. Suppressing them creates accumulation. The Tao teaches gentle observation. Instead of saying, "I must stop feeling anxious," we begin saying, "Anxiety is visiting me today." Notice the difference. The emotion becomes temporary. It becomes an experience rather than an identity. Clouds pass across the sky without becoming the sky itself. Thoughts pass across awareness in exactly the same way. The problem is not that thoughts appear. The problem is believing every thought deserves complete trust. Some thoughts are merely echoes of fear. Others are habits created by years of repetition. Still others are attempts by the ego to create certainty where certainty does not exist. Meditation plays an important role here, not because meditation removes uncertainty, but because it teaches us how to remain peaceful within uncertainty. Imagine sitting beside a flowing river. Leaves float past on the current. You watch them appear and disappear. You do not chase each leaf. You do not become emotionally attached to every branch drifting downstream. Thoughts can be observed in exactly the same way. They come, they go. Awareness remains. Gradually, the need to control every mental experience begins to soften. This inner spaciousness changes how we approach the external world. Unexpected delays become opportunities instead of disasters. Closed doors become redirections instead of failures. Waiting becomes preparation instead of punishment. The Tao teaches that timing possesses its own intelligence. A fruit picked too early lacks sweetness. A fruit left too long eventually spoils. The right moment matters. So often, we demand what we are not yet prepared to receive. We ask life for greater responsibility before developing greater wisdom. We seek deeper relationships before healing old wounds. We pursue success before cultivating discipline. When life delays something we desperately want, we often interpret the delay as rejection. The Tao gently whispers another possibility. Perhaps the delay is protection. Perhaps you are still becoming the person capable of carrying what you desire. This perspective transforms waiting. Waiting is no longer empty. It becomes active growth. Every season of apparent stillness contains invisible preparation. Just as winter quietly strengthens the roots beneath frozen ground, periods that seem unproductive may actually be building the foundation for everything that comes next. Trusting life's timing does not eliminate effort. You still plant, you still learn, you still work, you still love. But you release the desperate demand that everything happen according to your personal schedule. You begin cooperating with reality rather than arguing against it. And something remarkable happens. The constant tension inside your mind begins to loosen. You breathe more deeply. You notice beauty that anxiety once concealed. You become present enough to recognize opportunities you previously overlooked because you were too busy chasing different ones. Control narrows vision. Trust expands it. The Tao does not promise that life will always unfold according to your preferences. It offers something far more valuable. It teaches that peace becomes possible even when the future remains unknown. Because true security is not found in controlling tomorrow. It is found in learning to meet whatever tomorrow brings with a calm, flexible, and trusting heart. When you stop demanding that life obey your timetable, you begin to notice a quiet truth that has always been there. The river never forgot where it was going. Only the traveler believed he had to push the current, become like water. The hidden strength of flexibility. If there is one image that captures the heart of Taoist wisdom more than any other, it is water. Lao Tzu returned to this symbol again and again because he saw in water a perfect reflection of the Tao itself. Water is gentle, yet nothing can ultimately resist it. It is soft, yet it shapes mountains. It seeks the lowest places that others avoid, yet every living thing depends upon it. It never competes for recognition, never argues about its importance, and never struggles to prove its strength. Simply by being true to its nature, water accomplishes what force alone never could. Modern culture teaches us a very different lesson. We are encouraged to become harder, stronger, louder, faster, more aggressive, and more competitive. We admire those who dominate every room they enter. We often mistake stubbornness for confidence and inflexibility for conviction. We celebrate relentless determination while overlooking one of the greatest powers available to the human spirit, the ability to adapt without losing ourselves. Taoism invites us to ask an uncomfortable question. What if real strength does not come from resisting change? What if true resilience comes from moving with change instead? Consider a mighty oak tree standing proudly in an open field. Its trunk is thick, its branches are massive. It appears unshakable. During ordinary weather, it seems invincible. Yet when an exceptionally powerful storm arrives, its very rigidity becomes its weakness. Unable to bend with the wind, enormous branches snap. Sometimes the entire tree is uprooted. Now look at the bamboo growing nearby. It bends almost to the ground during violent winds. To someone watching from a distance, it may appear fragile, but when the storm passes, the bamboo quietly rises again. Its flexibility preserved its life. Human beings experience storms of a different kind. Loss, failure, illness, unexpected change, broken relationships, financial hardship, disappointment. No life escapes these seasons. The question is never whether storms will come. The question is how we will meet them. Many people respond by becoming emotionally rigid. This should never have happened. My life was supposed to be different. I refuse to accept this. Their resistance creates a second layer of suffering that often becomes heavier than the original event itself. Acceptance in Taoism is frequently misunderstood. It is not approval. It is not surrendering your values. It is not pretending painful situations are pleasant. Acceptance simply means acknowledging reality exactly as it is before deciding how to respond. Imagine a sailor caught in an unexpected storm. He can spend hours shouting at the wind, complaining that the weather is unfair, insisting the sea should become calm, or he can adjust the sails. Only one of those responses moves the boat. Reality does not become easier because we deny it. It becomes manageable when we work with it instead of against it. Water demonstrates this principle beautifully. Place water into a glass and it becomes the shape of the glass. Pour it into a river and it flows with the river. Freeze it and it becomes ice. Heat it and it becomes vapor. Its form changes constantly. Its essence never changes. This is one of Taoism's greatest teachings. Flexibility is not losing your identity. It is expressing your identity wisely within changing circumstances. Many people fear adaptation because they confuse it with compromise. They believe changing direction means admitting failure. Yet nature changes direction constantly. Rivers curve around mountains. Birds alter migration paths. Trees grow toward available sunlight. None of these changes represent weakness. They represent intelligence. There is a difference between abandoning your purpose and adjusting your path. Suppose your goal is reaching the top of a mountain. Halfway there, a landslide blocks the trail. The rigid mind insists on climbing directly through dangerous rocks because this was my original plan. The flexible mind calmly searches for another route. Both people desire the same destination. Only one arrives safely. Life rarely unfolds according to our first plan. Careers change, dreams evolve, friendships deepen or fade. Unexpected opportunities appear. Unexpected losses reshape our priorities. Those who insist that life remain exactly as imagined often become trapped by disappointment. Those who adapt continue growing. Water never mourns the path it cannot take. It simply discovers another. Another remarkable quality of water is its humility. Water always flows downward. It seeks the lowest places. In human society, we often seek the opposite. We want higher status, greater recognition, more influence, more admiration. There is nothing inherently wrong with success. The problem begins when our identity depends upon being seen as important. Pride creates tremendous fragility. A single criticism becomes unbearable. A minor failure feels catastrophic. Someone else's success feels threatening. Humility creates freedom. When you no longer need constant validation, your peace becomes much harder to disturb. Lao Tzu wrote that the sea becomes king of all rivers because it remains below them. This image contains extraordinary wisdom. The ocean receives every river because it never insists on standing above them. Leadership rooted in humility attracts trust naturally. Leadership rooted in ego constantly demands obedience. Think about the people who have most influenced your own life. Often they were not the loudest voices. They listened, they observed, they made others feel understood. Like water nourishing everything without demanding praise, their influence flowed quietly. This principle also transforms conflict. Most arguments continue because both sides become rigid. Each person clings to being right. Neither truly listens. Each conversation becomes a contest instead of a search for understanding. Water does not attack obstacles directly. It surrounds them. It patiently explores openings. Sometimes the wisest response in conflict is not immediate defense, but genuine curiosity. What are they really trying to express? What pain might exist beneath these words? What part of this situation have I overlooked? Curiosity softens rigidity. Rigidity fuels conflict. This does not mean allowing injustice. It means refusing to let anger become the only voice guiding your actions. Water also teaches persistence. People often underestimate gentle consistency because dramatic effort appears more impressive. A waterfall seems powerful because of its force, yet even a slow drip eventually carves stone. Transformation rarely happens through one extraordinary day. It happens through thousands of ordinary ones. A person who meditates for 10 minutes every day often develops greater inner peace than someone who attends one weekend retreat each year. A writer who completes one page daily eventually finishes books. A musician practicing consistently surpasses the one relying only on occasional inspiration. The Tao favors steady rhythm over frantic intensity. Nature never rushes. Yet forests grow, mountains form, oceans shape continents. Everything meaningful develops through accumulated moments. Modern culture frequently celebrates burnout. People boast about sleeping less, working constantly, never slowing down. Yet exhaustion eventually destroys creativity. It weakens judgment. It damages relationships. Water reminds us that sustainable movement always outlasts explosive effort. Notice how rivers never stop flowing. They do not sprint for 1 mile and collapse. They move steadily, patiently, continuously. The same principle applies to inner growth. Small acts of kindness, daily moments of silence, gentle self-discipline, honest conversations, regular reflection. These simple practices appear insignificant individually. Over years, they reshape an entire life. Water also possesses extraordinary clarity. When undisturbed, it reflects the sky perfectly. When constantly agitated, nothing can be seen clearly. Our minds function the same way. A restless mind distorts reality. It exaggerates problems. It invents fears. It misinterprets intentions. A calm mind reflects truth more accurately. This is why Taoist practices emphasize simplicity rather than endless analysis. Stillness reveals what constant thinking often conceals. Many people believe wisdom comes from collecting more information. The Tao suggests wisdom often comes from removing unnecessary noise. Imagine looking into a lake during a violent storm. The surface is chaotic. Nothing beneath can be seen. Wait until the wind settles. Suddenly, the entire underwater world becomes visible. Nothing new was added. Only disturbance disappeared. Our deepest insights often emerge this way, not through forcing answers, but through creating enough inner quiet for answers to appear naturally. Flexibility also changes how we view failure. Rigid people define themselves by outcomes. If something goes wrong, they conclude, "I am a failure." Flexible people ask different questions. What can this teach me? How has this changed me? What possibility has appeared because this path closed? Every experience becomes useful. Nothing is wasted. Even suffering becomes a teacher. This perspective does not eliminate pain. It gives pain direction. It transforms hardship into wisdom. Like rivers carrying fallen leaves toward fertile valleys, life often carries our difficulties toward unseen growth. The Tao never promises an obstacle-free journey. It promises something better, the ability to move through every obstacle without losing your peace, to bend without breaking, to adapt without surrendering your values, to remain gentle in a world that often mistakes gentleness for weakness. Bruce Lee, deeply influenced by Taoist philosophy, expressed this timeless truth in words that continue to inspire millions. "Be water, my friend." These words are far more than a famous quote. They are an invitation. Become fluid when circumstances change. Become patient when progress seems slow. Become humble when success arrives. Become persistent when obstacles appear. Become still when your mind grows noisy. Water never struggles to become itself. It simply flows according to its nature. Perhaps that is the deepest lesson of all. Peace is not something you force into existence. Like a river finding its way to the sea, it appears naturally the moment you stop resisting the direction life has been quietly leading you all along. Empty your mind. Why stillness reveals what effort never can. One of the greatest misunderstandings about wisdom is the belief that it comes from accumulating more knowledge, more experiences, more opinions, more achievements, more certainty. Modern life reinforces this belief every day. We consume endless streams of information. We scroll through thousands of ideas. We listen to podcasts while driving, answer emails while eating, and watch videos while trying to relax. Our minds are rarely given permission to become quiet, yet Taoism offers a startlingly different perspective. According to the Tao, wisdom is often discovered not by adding something new, but by removing what no longer serves us. The ancient sages believed that the mind resembles a mirror. When the mirror is covered with dust, it cannot reflect reality clearly. The answer is not to buy a new mirror. It is simply to wipe away the dust. In the same way, your deepest understanding is often hidden beneath layers of unnecessary thinking. Lao Tzu repeatedly emphasized simplicity because he understood how easily the human mind becomes overcrowded. Thoughts themselves are not the problem. The problem begins when we become unable to distinguish between useful thoughts and endless mental noise. Think about how many conversations you replay long after they have ended. You wonder what you should have said. You imagine better responses. You predict what someone else might be thinking. Hours pass, sometimes days, while your mind continues arguing with events that no longer exist. Nothing changes except your level of exhaustion. This is one of the mind's favorite habits. It mistakes constant thinking for progress. It assumes that if it keeps analyzing every possibility, it will eventually arrive at perfect certainty. But certainty rarely arrives. Instead, the mind simply creates more questions. One concern leads to another. One fear produces 5 more. One uncertainty branches into dozens of imagined scenarios. The Tao gently reminds us that a restless mind cannot perceive reality accurately. Imagine standing beside a perfectly still lake at sunrise. The surface reflects the mountains, the sky, and the trees with astonishing clarity. Now imagine throwing stones into that same lake every few seconds. The reflections disappear. The mountains have not moved. The sky has not changed. Only the surface has become disturbed. Our consciousness works in much the same way. Reality remains what it is, but constant mental agitation prevents us from seeing it clearly. This is why Taoist masters valued silence so deeply. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is the absence of unnecessary inner conflict. There is an important distinction between a quiet environment and a quiet mind. You can sit alone in a peaceful forest while your thoughts continue racing. You can also sit in a crowded city while experiencing profound inner stillness. External silence helps. Internal silence transforms. One of the reasons people avoid stillness is because it initially feels uncomfortable. The moment distractions disappear, unresolved emotions begin to surface. Old fears appear, forgotten grief returns. Questions we have postponed suddenly demand attention. Many people immediately reach for another distraction, a phone, a television, music, work, conversation, anything that prevents them from sitting with themselves. The Tao encourages the opposite response. Instead of escaping what arises, become curious about it. Imagine entering a room that has been locked for many years. Dust covers every surface. The air feels heavy. Your first instinct may be to leave. But if you remain, open the windows, and patiently clean the room, light gradually returns. Our inner world often requires the same patience. Stillness does not create chaos. It reveals the chaos that was already there. This realization is incredibly freeing. Many people believe meditation is about stopping thoughts completely. That expectation creates frustration. The more they try to force silence, the louder their minds seem to become. Taoism approaches meditation differently. Instead of fighting thoughts, simply observe them. Imagine sitting beside a busy road. Cars pass continuously. Some are loud, some are quiet. Some move quickly, others crawl slowly. You notice each one, but you do not chase them down the highway. Thoughts deserve the same treatment. Let them come. Let them go. Not every thought requires your participation. This simple shift changes everything. Instead of becoming trapped inside every mental story, you become the observer of those stories. You begin realizing something remarkable. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness within which thoughts appear. This insight has enormous practical consequences. Suppose a thought arises saying, "I will never succeed." Before, you immediately believed it. You became discouraged. Your behavior changed. Now something different happens. You notice there is a thought predicting failure. The thought still exists, but it no longer controls you. Distance creates freedom. The Tao teaches that awareness naturally dissolves illusions. There is another habit that keeps the mind constantly crowded: the need to label everything immediately. Good, bad, success, failure, lucky, unlucky. We rush to judge experiences before understanding them. Suppose you lose your job. The mind instantly declares, "This is terrible." Months later, that same event leads you toward work that brings greater meaning and fulfillment. Was losing the job good or bad? Perhaps it was simply part of a larger unfolding that could not be understood in the moment. An ancient Taoist story illustrates this beautifully. A farmer's horse ran away. His neighbors exclaimed, "What terrible luck!" The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing several wild horses with it. The neighbors celebrated, "What wonderful luck!" Again, the farmer answered, "Maybe." Soon afterward, the farmer's son broke his leg while trying to tame one of the wild horses. The neighbors once more declared, "What terrible luck!" The farmer smiled, "Maybe." Not long after, soldiers arrived to recruit every healthy young man for war. Because of his broken leg, the son remained safely at home. The story continues, reminding us again and again that reality cannot be understood through immediate judgment. Life unfolds over time. Every ending becomes another beginning. Every beginning eventually changes. The Tao teaches patience because only patience allows the larger picture to emerge. Stillness also changes our relationship with decision-making. Many people believe the best decisions come from thinking harder. Sometimes they do, but often excessive thinking creates confusion rather than clarity. Have you ever struggled with an important choice for days, only to wake one morning suddenly knowing exactly what to do? The answer did not appear because you thought harder. It appeared because your deeper awareness finally had room to speak. Intuition rarely shouts. It whispers. A noisy mind cannot hear whispers. Taoist sages trusted this quiet intelligence, not blindly, not irrationally, but respectfully. They recognized that beneath analytical thinking exists another kind of knowing. It cannot always explain itself immediately, yet it often perceives patterns long before conscious reasoning catches up. Artists experience this, scientists experience it, inventors experience it, writers experience it. They wrestle with a problem intensely. Nothing happens. Then during a walk, a shower, or a peaceful evening, the solution suddenly appears. The subconscious had continued working while the conscious mind relaxed. The Tao has always honored this mysterious process. Stillness nourishes creativity because creativity depends upon openness. A crowded room cannot receive new guests. A crowded mind struggles to receive new insights. This is why Lao Tzu praised emptiness. He pointed out that a clay pot is useful because of the empty space inside it. A house becomes livable because of the empty rooms within its walls. A window serves its purpose because there is open space where light may enter. Emptiness is not useless. It is what makes usefulness possible. The same principle applies to our lives. Many schedules become so crowded that there is no room for spontaneity. No room for reflection, no room for genuine rest, no room for wonder. Every hour becomes assigned, every minute optimized. Eventually, life begins feeling mechanical. The Tao encourages leaving space, not because productivity is wrong, but because life itself needs room to breathe. Some of the most meaningful conversations happen unexpectedly. Some of the greatest opportunities appear during unplanned moments. Some of the deepest spiritual insights arise when we stop trying to manufacture them. Nature understands this rhythm perfectly. Forests experience seasons of growth and seasons of apparent stillness. Fields lie fallow before producing abundant harvests. Even the human heart depends upon rhythm. Every heartbeat alternates between contraction and relaxation. If the heart remained permanently contracted, life would end. Our minds require the same balance. Constant effort without rest creates burnout. Constant activity without reflection creates emptiness. Constant ambition without stillness creates anxiety. Stillness restores rhythm. There is another beautiful lesson hidden within emptiness: humility. A cup already filled cannot receive fresh tea. Likewise, a person convinced they already know everything cannot continue learning. The Tao praises beginners because beginners remain open. They ask questions. They observe carefully. They are willing to change. Experts sometimes become imprisoned by certainty. The beginner continues discovering. Approaching each day with beginner's mind transforms ordinary life. The sunrise becomes beautiful again. A familiar conversation reveals something new. Simple moments regain their richness. Wonder quietly returns. Children naturally live this way. Everything fascinates them. Everything deserves attention. Everything invites curiosity. As adults, familiarity often blinds us. We stop noticing because we assume we already understand. Stillness removes this blindness. It allows us to encounter reality freshly once more. Perhaps the greatest gift of an empty mind is presence. Most people live divided between yesterday and tomorrow. Regrets pull them backward. Worries push them forward. Very little attention remains for this moment. Yet life only exists here, not in yesterday, not in tomorrow, only now. The Tao gently calls us home, not to escape the future, not to deny the past, but to fully inhabit the only moment in which living is actually possible. When the mind becomes quieter, ordinary experiences begin revealing extraordinary beauty. The sound of rain, the warmth of morning sunlight, the laughter of a friend, the rhythm of your own breathing. Things that were always present suddenly become visible. Nothing changed except your awareness, and perhaps that has always been the secret. The answers you have been searching for were never hiding from you. They were patiently waiting beneath the endless noise. Like the clear reflection waiting beneath rippling water, wisdom was always there. It simply needed a still enough mind to recognize it. Live in harmony with the Tao, finding freedom by becoming fully present. As we arrive at the final secret, all the previous teachings begin to come together. We have learned that forcing life creates unnecessary suffering. We have discovered that trusting life's timing brings peace where control cannot. We have seen how water teaches flexibility, humility, and quiet strength. We have explored how stillness allows wisdom to emerge naturally. Now we arrive at the heart of Taoism itself. The ultimate secret is not simply learning these principles. It is learning to live in harmony with the Tao every single day. The word Tao is often translated as the way, but no translation fully captures its meaning. The Tao is not merely a path to follow. It is the invisible order that moves through everything. It is the rhythm behind the seasons, the intelligence that guides rivers toward the sea, the silent force that causes seeds to become forests and stars to move across the night sky. The Tao cannot be owned. It cannot be controlled. It cannot even be completely described. The opening line of the Tao Te Ching reminds us, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. This is not because the Tao is mysterious for the sake of mystery. It is because some realities can only be experienced. You cannot fully explain the taste of fresh water to someone who has never drunk it. You cannot describe music to someone who has never heard sound. You cannot explain peace to a mind that has never become still. The Tao must be lived. This realization changes everything. Many people spend years searching for happiness as though it were hidden somewhere outside themselves. They imagine that peace will finally arrive when they earn more money, when they meet the perfect partner, when they buy the perfect home, when they retire, when their problems disappear. But every achievement is soon followed by another desire. Every destination becomes another starting point. The mind says, just one more thing. And the chase continues. The Tao gently asks, what if nothing essential is missing right now? This question feels almost impossible in a culture built upon constant dissatisfaction. Advertising tells us we are incomplete. Comparison tells us we are behind. Fear tells us we are unsafe. Ambition tells us we are not enough. The Tao quietly whispers something different. You were never separate from life. You were never outside the flow. You simply forgot how to recognize it. Imagine a fish swimming through the ocean while desperately searching for water. No matter where it goes, it cannot find what already surrounds it. Many people search for meaning in exactly the same way. They overlook the quiet miracle of simply being alive. Every breath, every sunrise, every conversation, every opportunity to love, every chance to learn. Life itself has already begun. There is nothing to wait for. One of the greatest obstacles to living in harmony with the Tao is the habit of postponing life. We say, I'll be happy when, I'll relax after, I'll enjoy myself once. These sentences seem harmless, yet they quietly move peace into an imaginary future. The future arrives, another condition appears, peace moves again. Eventually, entire decades pass. The Tao reminds us that life is never postponed, only our attention is. The present moment is often underestimated because it appears ordinary. We wait for extraordinary experiences, but extraordinary lives are built from fully lived ordinary moments. Making tea, walking beneath trees, watching children laugh, sharing a quiet meal, listening without interruption, breathing deeply before speaking. These moments rarely make headlines, yet together they become a beautiful life. Taoist masters understood this. They did not seek constant excitement. They sought complete presence. Presence transforms simple experiences into profound ones. Imagine eating your favorite meal while answering emails, scrolling through social media, and worrying about tomorrow. You barely taste the food. Now imagine eating the same meal slowly. You notice the aroma, the texture, the warmth. Gratitude naturally appears. Nothing changed except your attention. The Tao teaches that attention is one of the greatest forms of respect. When you give complete attention to a person, they feel seen. When you give complete attention to your work, excellence naturally follows. When you give complete attention to nature, wonder returns. When you give complete attention to yourself, healing quietly begins. Many spiritual traditions speak about awakening. Taoism approaches awakening with remarkable simplicity. To awaken is not necessarily to gain extraordinary powers or mystical experiences. It is to stop sleepwalking through your own life. Most people move from one task to another almost automatically. Wake up, check the phone, rush through breakfast, drive while thinking about work, work while thinking about home. Come home while thinking about tomorrow. Go to bed while replaying today. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. The body is present. The mind is elsewhere. The Tao gently invites us back. Back to this breath. Back to this conversation. Back to this sunrise. Back to this step. Because this is where life is actually happening. There is another beautiful aspect of harmony. It changes how we relate to success. Success is no longer measured only by external achievements. Instead, we begin asking deeper questions. Can I remain peaceful while pursuing my goals? Can I remain kind when under pressure? Can I succeed without losing my integrity? Can I achieve without becoming consumed by ambition? The Tao never condemns accomplishment. It simply warns against becoming possessed by it. A person may own great wealth, yet remain inwardly free. Another may own very little, yet remain consumed by endless craving. Freedom has little to do with possessions. It has everything to do with attachment. Attachment says, I cannot be happy without this. Harmony says, I deeply appreciate this while understanding that everything changes. This perspective transforms relationships as well. We begin loving people instead of trying to own them. We appreciate moments without demanding they last forever. We express gratitude without clinging. We allow change without believing love has disappeared. Everything in nature moves through cycles. Day becomes night. Summer becomes autumn. Youth becomes age. Life becomes death. Death nourishes new life. Nothing remains fixed. This truth frightens the ego because it wants permanence. The Tao finds beauty precisely within impermanence. Cherry blossoms become precious because they bloom briefly. Sunsets move us because they cannot be held. Childhood becomes meaningful because it passes. Impermanence is not the enemy of beauty. It is the reason beauty exists. When we finally accept this, gratitude replaces fear. Instead of desperately holding every moment, we begin fully experiencing every moment. This is true abundance. Not owning more, experiencing more deeply. There is an old Taoist image of an archer. A beginner shoots with desperate concentration. He fears missing the target. His hands tremble. His breathing becomes uneven. The experienced archer appears almost relaxed. His attention rests completely in the present. He releases the arrow without anxiety. Once the arrow leaves the bow, its journey is no longer his to control. His responsibility ended with the quality of his action. The outcome belongs to life. This image beautifully summarizes Taoist living. Give your full attention to what you can do. Release what you cannot control. Act sincerely. Love completely. Speak honestly. Work faithfully. Then let go. Trust the unfolding. There is profound freedom in this way of living. Not because life becomes easier. Storms still come. Loss still happens. Plans still change. But something inside you no longer collapses every time circumstances shift. You become rooted more deeply than external events, like the bamboo bending with the wind, like the river flowing around stone, like the mountain resting beneath passing clouds. Peace becomes your home rather than your destination. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about Taoism is the belief that it is merely a philosophy. It is far more intimate than that. It is a way of walking, a way of listening, a way of speaking, a way of breathing, a way of loving. It quietly influences every ordinary decision until ordinary life itself becomes extraordinary. Imagine waking tomorrow morning without immediately reaching for your worries. Imagine beginning the day by noticing your first breath, the light entering the room. The silence before the world becomes busy. Imagine carrying that awareness into every conversation, every decision, every challenge. Nothing dramatic would appear to happen, yet everything would be different, because you would no longer be moving against life, you would be moving with it. This is the invitation of the Tao, not to become someone else, not to escape the world, not to withdraw from responsibility, but to rediscover the effortless wisdom that has always existed beneath your striving. The river never asks whether it is flowing correctly. The birds never question whether dawn will arrive. The trees never fear that spring has forgotten them. Nature trusts the Tao completely. Human beings possess the unique ability to resist that trust. but we also possess the unique ability to return to it. And perhaps that return is what every restless heart has been searching for all along. When you stop forcing, when you stop clinging, when you stop fearing every uncertainty, when you become present enough to hear the quiet rhythm beneath all things, you discover that the peace you spent your entire life pursuing was never waiting at the end of the journey. It was quietly walking beside you from the very beginning, patiently waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it.